Game 1 of the NLCS between the Mets and Dodgers, and mama, there goes that man, bottom 4, runner on first, and Shohei Ohtani gets this one to the wall. That's going to bring a man home, giving the Dodgers a 5-0 lead early in this one. Then we head to top 7. Jack Flaherty on fire, and this is actually his last out from his outing. A fly out as the Dodgers eventually go on to get the win in this one, taking game 1 against the Metsies. 9-0 is your final. Flaherty pitching 7 scoreless, 2 walks and 6 Ks in his outing. Shohei Ohtani getting work done also at the plate in his night, finishing with 2 hits and RBI in his 4 at-bats in LA, taking the first game of this National League Series. Well, Bobby, a team that got to this point via the home run. They do it in a different way in game 1. I got to start off just asking, what did you make of how the Dodgers came out of this one offensively?
Well, offensively, they showed all their cylinders. And, you know, those 3 top members of their batting order, all MVPs, had 4 runs scored, 5 hits, 5 RBI. You know, that's creating a monster to try to attack those 3 guys if they're healthy. And Freddie Freeman looked pretty healthy running around the bases tonight as this series goes on.
Hey, you talk about those big bats, and you're talking about the top of that lineup, but what do you make of the Dodgers playing small ball? They had 2 sack bunts leading to runs in this game.
Yeah, 9 runs, as you mentioned. No home runs. They live by the home run. This game, they were bunting guys over. Both bunts scored. RBI singles. First 7 runs that were scored were all scored on singles, driving runs in. They weren't using their power, but it was a complete-looking team against a team that didn't look complete at all. Looked like they left the luggage on the plane. They need to get the mojo back. It's not that easy. They've been running on fuels and adrenaline, and tonight it looked like they were out of fuel and had no adrenaline. I
want to go to that team in just a second, but everyone making a big deal, and I'm going to say myself included, about Shohei Ohtani's numbers just coming into this one. Maybe he just needs men on base, because if you look at his numbers, 6 for 8 with runners on base, 0 for 16 with the bases empty. I'm going to ask you, Bobby, is he just maybe clutch?
Yeah, he's better than most, and clutch he is. And when they're men on base, they have to pitch to him, and he knows they have to pitch to him, and he jumps on him. It's usually early in the count, and he hits the ball as hard as anybody in the game, as consistently as anyone in the game. And tonight he was on full display, scoring a run, driving in 2, getting a couple hits, ho-hum, with a walk. But he got thrown out trying to steal, so maybe there's a little kryptonite left in the Mets.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we found something over there, but meanwhile, we do got to talk about those Mets on the other end of things. That rough outing for Kodai Senga, making just his 3rd start of the season, was pulled after an inning and a 1/3 of work, gave up 3 earned and 4 walks. Would you maybe attest this to rust, perhaps? What do you think went wrong?
Well, the good news is that it happened with the New York team, and no one in New York will second-guess this move, so we'll just get swept under the carpet. I'm only kidding, of course. This will be second-guessed from now until the Hogs come home, because he pitched 7 innings all year. He wasn't throwing bullpens in between his last start, and today he had absolutely nothing. From the first pitch he threw, his fastball was illegitimate, his forkball was non-existent, and his slider was nowhere to be found. So this was a guy who was put out there on reputation. That in Japan he pitched all the big games, and he did. So he's ready for the big game, but it takes more than just a resume. It takes a conditioning mentally and physically, and tonight, obviously, physically, he was not there.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but do you think the Mets can go back to Senga if there is a game 5, or do they maybe opt to go a little bit more traditional?
They will not go to Senga in game 5. I'll put my money on that. And, you know, Peterson came in and got stretched out a little. He definitely could start, but, you know, Senga, as much as his heart wants to be there, and as much as that team wants to have that pedigree out there representing him, from the first 5 pitches of the game, his entire team said, this is not the right move, and the rest of the game showed.
All right, so let's put you in the shoes. You are the manager of the Mets. You're coming out for game 2. How do you?
Well, you know, they just have to get a little of the mojo back, get it back early. It's not about a team meeting or a speech or any of that stuff. It's the feel, and there was no feel tonight. And you know, they're running on fumes, as I said, and living on the height of coming back in games and great emotions of advancing. You know, the trip across the country takes a little out of you, and maybe a good night's sleep tonight will get them back in place to take another trip across the country and come back to the city for 3, 4, and 5.
And a good night's sleep you're going to need as well, because we're going to have you this series. We appreciate you stopping by, Bobby. We appreciate that. Thanks so much. And for Game 2, Monday, 4:08 Eastern, Shamania taking the bump opposite Walker Buehler. Shamania 1-0, 2.25 ERA. Buehler 6 earned on 7 hits and 5 innings in the NLCS, if you recall that one. It's going to be an interesting battle as the Mets look to even this one up.